Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I am super excited to dive into today's topic. But before I do, let me just briefly introduce myself to those of you who may be new to me. My name is Ashley and I am a pediatric occupational therapist, and on this channel I provide you all with education, resources, strategies, and all things related to childhood development, especially early childhood development. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in or you want to learn more about, make sure you stick around and subscribe to this channel. But getting back to today's topic, I really wanted to talk about whether or not your child is truly having a developmental delay, or is it just a lack of experience. In order for us to kind of differentiate the two and look at them, we need to understand exactly what they both are. So let's start off by talking about a developmental delay. So a developmental delay is basically when a child does not reach a certain milestone or does not master a certain skill within the expected time frame. Now that expected time frame should be looked at within like 3-month increments technically. So from 0 to 3 months, there's a bunch of development going on. From 3 to 6 months, there's a bunch of development going on. From 6 to 9 months, there's a bunch of development going on, and on and on and on until the child reaches around the age of 3. And so between each of those time frames, this child is mastering a certain amount of skills, and certain skills that could be like motor skills, social skills, language skills, speech skills, a variety of skills. And so if your child is not meeting those milestones within that certain time frame, that may be considered a developmental delay. So let's say, for example, your child is 9 months of age, but they are just not yet showing that they've mastered skills that are expected of a 6-month-old. That can technically be considered a developmental delay. Now, what causes a developmental delay? Developmental delays, according to research, have been linked to a variety of factors. So research says that developmental delays can be linked to things such as genetic factors. Developmental delays can be linked to prenatal exposure to toxins or infections. They can be linked to birth complications or premature birth. They can be linked to neurological disorders or medical impairments, as well as a decrease in early stimulation or sensory impairments. So that, in a nutshell, is basically the definition of a developmental delay. Now, a couple things before we move on to talking about a lack of experience. Number one, if you are concerned that your child may be experiencing some type of developmental delay, I highly recommend and encourage you to consult with your pediatrician or your healthcare professional to relay and talk about what you're seeing. And number two, if you do want to know a little bit more about what milestones should be met or what things a child should be doing between certain ages, I will link below a free developmental milestone guide so that you all can just be a little bit more aware of kind of what's expected. But I will caveat that with saying children do develop differently and children do develop at different paces. So what's most important is that they are making progress. And so now let's move on and talk about lack of experience. So when a child has a lack of experience, sometimes that just means that they have not been exposed or given the opportunity to learn things in order for them to meet certain milestones. And so, for example, I actually had a family where I went in to do an evaluation to see if their child would qualify for occupational therapy. And one of the things that occupational therapists look at is fine motor skills and visual motor or eye-hand coordination skills. And so the particular test that I was using had a very minimal 3-piece puzzle, 3 shapes. And so when it was time for that child to complete the 3-shaped puzzle, the child had no idea what to do. And when I talked to the parents did tell me like, hey, we've never ever exposed our child to a puzzle before. They just don't have experience with that before. And so that is what I mean by lack of experience. It's not that the child has a medical condition or the child was exposed to anything during labor or pregnancy. It's that the child simply was never exposed. It's that the child simply has never had certain experiences. The child has a lack of experiences that would help promote their play skills and their motor skills and their language skills. So it's important to know that children do need a lot of time, they need a lot of exposure, they need a lot of practice in order for them to develop certain skills. So your role as parents and our role as therapists, providers, teachers, daycare providers, our job as a whole is to help these children by giving them as many opportunities and experiences as possible. And especially in those early first 3 years of life is going to be so crucial, because that is when that brain is constantly growing, constantly expanding, constantly picking up new information. And children are just rapidly growing between those first 3 years of life. So the number one recommendation that I'm going to give to all of you to help a child in those first 3 years of life is to help them play as much as possible. Playing is essential for a child's development. Through play, a child can learn so many skills. The child can develop their motor skills, their social skills, their regulation, emotional skills, their speech and language, their fine motor skills, participation in daily routines, their attention, transitions, just everything. Everything is a huge factor and is related to how much play that child has been exposed to in those first 3 years of life. So, lesson of the day, if there's anything that you can take away from this video, especially if your child is 3 and under, definitely play. Play should be the job of children in general, but especially children 3 and under, because that is when they're learning so much. And for children that are older, play is still very important, so don't take it out. And I feel like I can make a whole nother video about this, but I feel like that's a lot of the problem that we're seeing nowadays, is that sometimes children just don't have enough opportunities to play. Like, children need to move, they need to run, they need to engage in pretend play, outdoor play, all different types of play. And because in our society today, we are living in a digital world, sometimes, that doesn't always happen. And so we need to definitely just be a little bit more intentional about helping children to play, because that is going to be the thing that helps our children to master their milestones and master all these skills that are super important for their development. So I hope this video made it a little bit more clear for you about the difference between a developmental delay and the difference between a child just having a lack of experience and a lack of exposure to certain things. Now, sometimes they go hand in hand. Sometimes a child is delayed, or a child has a developmental delay because they have a lack of experience or a lack of exposure. And in some cases, a child is not necessarily delayed, they just don't have experience or exposure in that certain area or with that certain thing. So sometimes they go hand in hand, and sometimes they can be looked at as two completely separate entities. But I just wanted to come on here and talk to you a little bit more about both of those categories. And so thank you so much for watching. Like I said, don't forget, sign up below to receive your free developmental milestone guideline. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell so that you are aware of when I upload new videos. And I'm always open to suggestions about videos and topics that you guys want to hear more about or learn more about. So feel free to leave those comments or those ideas for videos down below. And so yeah, until the next one, guys, bye.